good evening, and welcome to our first ever episode of the podcast right here on our YouTube channel. And in today's edition, you're with me, your host, Benjamin Kafwirangachi, Nyirenda. And the podcast is a platform where we are going to be bringing you various prominent figures as well as experts in different fields, and we are going to be having meaningful conversations about the issues that are affecting this nation. And in today's edition, being the first ever episode, I am profoundly honored to be joined by Environmentalist Greshan Kamnyamata, as we are going to be tackling issues to do with the country's current environmental status and the country's drive towards a sustainable environment. First of all, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you so much.
Maybe to begin our program today, 60 years down the line as an independent state, maybe can you just briefly tell us or give us our current environmental status as a nation? Just an overview.
All right. Thank you so much. Welcome all listeners to our program today. My name is Greshan Kamnyamata, as you have already heard. I'm an environmental specialist who definitely makes some comments on issues pertaining environment. Answering your question, sir, of course, before we go into details, I would like to at least make our listeners out there understand what do we mean when we say an environment. Otherwise, we may be discussing issues that they may not be familiar with. So, in the beginning, I have to mention that there is a very simple definition of what an environment is. Simple and straightforward. Environment means anything that surrounds you. Anything that surrounds us, that one becomes an environment, part of an environment. And in this case, we are talking about water, sunlight, air, plants, animals, what have you. All those are part of an environment. Definitely, we need also to know that it is living and non-living. When we become too scientific enough, we say biotic and abiotic components of an environment. So abiotic are those that have no life, while biotic are those that have life. Now, we need to mention that as a country, over the past years, the environmental status has been good but not very best, because there are some gray areas that we need to address as a country, so that we have an environment that is great and supportive to human and other kinds of life on this earth. So we can understand to say, yes, the environmental status has not been very good, because we have some indicators that indeed are driving to that particular gray status on environment. For example, we have population growth. Population growth is the one that is driving demand on natural systems, thereby trying to facilitate environmental degradation. And another factor being climate change, which is definitely putting some forces that are indeed making the earth not productive. For example, if we say there is no rain, definitely no rain, no water, no life. As such, these two factors are indeed making our environment not be as desirable as it would be. No wonder we have Malawi 2063 agenda, which has got enabler number 7, which tells Malawi as a government and Malawi as a nation to facilitate establishment of an environmental sustainability, which will provide clean environment to support the living standards of people. So we are saying the environmental status has not been all that good because of these indicators. For example, we have high levels of environmental pollution. This is an indicator that environmental status hasn't been good. because we are talking of air, water, soil, and even noise pollution. They are always all over. We are talking of poor waste disposal. We are talking of resource depletion in our environmental base. We are talking of environmental degradation, reduced biodiversity, high levels of deforestation, extreme weather conditions, and of course, not forgetting the outbreak of diseases and pests. All these are indeed telling us that environmental status hasn't been good, or it is not good in Malawi, just as the world over is experiencing.
Maybe, according to your explanation, you have actually told us that the country is facing a lot of challenges when it comes to environmental issues. Maybe, can you just pinpoint what has been the major challenges that we as a nation is facing when it comes to the issues to do with conserving the environment?
There are several challenges that we are facing as a nation. Some of them, as we are saying, we have a very huge population growth. This is a huge challenge because, as you may appreciate, if the the population is growing so hugely as it is in Malawi, we should expect that population that is growing to exert a lot of pressure on the environment, a lot of pressure on trees, a lot of pressure on water, a lot of pressure on air, and even in other sources in other components of environment. For example, if we have quite a lot of men and women that are getting into matrimony, that are getting married, definitely, as per our culture, they would wish to go and open their own land for cultivation, for farming. Definitely means they are going to go and invade a virgin land somewhere which may have a lot of trees and other animals over there. So they may open the land, thereby reducing the ground cover, and definitely environmental forest is at stake. So the first thing is population growth is just too high. Secondly, is lack of civic education in rural areas. Education is very important. Some people may be misbehaving, may be attacking the environment somehow unknowingly, simply because I'm not being taught, I'm not being educated on the importance of caring for the environment. So, the government, I know, it is doing great through the Ministry of Natural Resources. They are doing great, but they are not doing the best, because we would expect at least the policies, the act that are safeguarding the environment to trickle down to the common villager, sorry to say, but to a villager down in the rural areas. So the civic education is there, but not the best. So it's just a matter of to put up the socks in that area. Thirdly, we have to appreciate that awareness campaign on on the importance, on the roles of the Malawians on the caring for the environment or conserving the environment is a challenge. Malawi is a country which is agro-based, of course, but does not have enough resources most of the time. We depend on donors. As such, when we find money, when we find the resources, they may be channeled to other areas that we feel are very important. Because you may agree with me that issues concerning environment, indeed they are important, but most of the people, they don't take them as very, very important. That is why I always talk about the maggot-mushroom relationship. When the maggots are enjoying the mushroom and the mushroom comes to an end, definitely the maggots, they come to an end as well. They die because they have nothing to eat. As such, we are also doing the same. We don't like conserving the environment. As such, we are going to behave, or we are behaving like maggots. And at one point, we are going to cry over the spilled milk when the environment is completely changed and damaged and will never support us, which is will be very in the near future. Fourthly, laws enforcement. Law enforcement. This is another area where we are encountering a lot of challenges. You know, we have good laws, good acts, good policies, and even our own Malawi 2063 agenda, our blueprints. They are guiding us on how we can care for the environment. These are tools that are giving us the guidance on how we can conserve our environment, on how we can protect our forests, our land, our waters, and our mines, and what have you. But we are encountering quite a lot of challenges when it comes into full swing. It is becoming so problematic. It's a challenge, simply because many people have their own ambition to achieve, their own wishes, their own hunger to quench. So you may agree with me that we have the law enforcers in various roadblocks on our roads in Malawi. But you tend to wonder when you, you're passing by other men and women carrying charcoal, carrying, logs of wood and the like. Because Malawi, most of the time, Malawians do depend on trees, biomass, as a source of heat. And this is not. You can agree with me that all this would not be possible if the country have got these law enforcers, and these law enforcers, if they do their work properly, definitely this should not be the thing. As such, it is not all that good to let all those people to be moving around with those charcoals, with those wood. Is an indicator that law enforcement is not all that good. Fifthly, you know, we have those laws and acts, but the charges are just very low. People choose to go and pollute. People choose to go and harvest some forest products because they know that after they are caught, they are apprehended, they are going to pay. So this is another area that we need to do better. So for the time being, we have to understand that we have quite a lot of challenges that we need to sort out for our environment to be fully protected, as mentioned.
Maybe coming to my next question, you have elaborated well these issues to do with the challenges that we as a nation we are facing when it comes to preserving our environment. You have alluded to the fact that this country faces challenges when it comes to issues to do with the deforestation, issues to do with constrained water resources, declining fisheries, limited institutional capacity to manage natural resources, and maybe there are sometimes a series of farming practices that lead to soil erosion and reduced fertility. Maybe as a nation, why have we been struggling when it comes to curbing these issues?